Stays put, and there's a high fly ball, deep right field. Harper watches it fly.
By Hanley misses the target. Picking it up is Owen Tippett, turbocharged time. Tippett spins, backhander, he scores! Somehow, he just one-upped himself from the other night.
Franchise record of 68 points in a game. Chance at 70. Embiid, coast to coast for 70.
Final half minute of this third quarter. Eagles try to retake the lead. Hurts, complete, through the tackle is Brown, to the end zone, touchdown, Philadelphia. The 1-2 pitch. Hit toward third. Castro has it. Spins, fires. A perfect game. Roy Halladay has thrown the second perfect game in Philadelphia Phillies history. He faces 27 batters. He retires all 27.
In this building, start things off as the puck is deflected near the Pittsburgh dugout. Crosby is back to the ice with a hard hitter. And now Yager trying to play it ahead, but it's knocked away. Picked up here, though, by Giroux. Touchdown! Oh, Giroux, 32 seconds in. Iverson, bothered by Lou. Iverson. Oh, how about that? That steps over Teron Lou.
Yo, yous guys, what's going on? Talking 215 here down in Billy Pistol's basement saloon. He said I wouldn't do the old Delco, but here I am, dickhead. Come down to you live at the basement saloon.
Here we go, Jakey. Lots of news.
What's going on, Billy boy?
How you doing today?
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. We have some exciting news for you, Jake. You want to take this? You want me to tell them about it?
Yeah, obviously you guys see all the golf clubs, see the balls and everything. You saw us post a little things on Twitter, on Instagram and everything. This Sunday, we are making a debut of Bucket Golf. We partnered up with the great folks over at Bucket Golf to have them be the official game of the Talking 215 tailgate. And no better Sunday than Masters Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Masters Sunday, bring in golf.
Oh, yeah.
Me and you have played this once together. You've played it a couple of times.
I mean, I play it every day I come home and it's not raining.
Super fun game. And we're super excited to bring it up there.
Yeah.
We're bringing a leaderboard. If you want to swing by the G-Lot, where we are at this Sunday.
You know where it is.
The final round of the Masters. Come prove to us that you are better than the degenerates that go tailgate Philly sports.
Oh, yeah. No, we're having
maybe better
tournament.
than Bryson, but I don't know. He probably hasn't played bucket golf before.
Probably not. Bryson DeChambeau for those, not Bryson Stott. But no, we're going to have a 3-hole tournament. We're going to have a hole-in-one competition. Going to have all kinds of really fun stuff. Prizes. Obviously, the free beer is going to be given away. But no, super excited to have Bucket Golf at the tailgate. If you like yard games, you like golf, you like just being able to go outside and play a lot of different things, and maybe something you haven't played before, definitely check out Bucket Golf. You can find them online, find them on all social media. Check out their website and get yourself a set. They got 3-hole sets, 6-hole, 9-hole, 18. If you got a small area, you really only need 3. Yeah. You can easily move it around, make a ton of different holes. It's a ton of fun. Phillies right now, obviously Brandon Marsh just made the game from a real nail biter to something that gives you a little bit of breathing room. Brandon Marsh, probably an all-star.
Probably.
Like at this point in the season.
Well, yes. At this point of the season.
13 games in. 13 games in, the guy's playing at an all-star level, really, really doing an incredible job. And it's got to be a little knock on Rob Thompson for trying to platoon him so often.
Yeah, no, it's Brandon Marsh should be in our outfield, in our lineup every single day. I mean, he's
the best bat in the lineup right now. Most consistent.
He's got a hot bat. He's a good, solid bat throughout the season, and he's a good defender. We're not talking about a liability like Schwarber. I mean, the guy moves so goddamn slow. That's why he had a DH. But Brandon Marsh needs to be in our lineup. This whole Whit Merrifield thing, we talked about it last week. We talked about it this week. the platooning, the resting of the guys, get our best players in that lineup.
Yeah.
Stop resting him. If somebody's hurt, somebody needs a 2-3 days to rehab a finger or something like that. That's why we signed Merrifield to a team-friendly contract.
Yeah. No, this whole, like, I mean, Rob Thompson said it in spring training. They're going to start the season with a heavy rotation of guys. They want to keep guys fresh and everything. Like, I kind of get that. But also, if your whole main focus is getting off to a hot start, then just put your best players out there. Put your best lineup out there. And when you have guys like Johan Rojas struggling so mightily, and then you have guys in this system that you've seen be extremely high-level prospects that really don't pan out. Scott Kingery was one of them. You had a ton of different guys. People were really high on Tommy Joseph back in the day, Nick Williams, like these guys that just never panned out. And then you have a guy that's probably the best center fielder defensively in baseball, and that's extremely valuable. I'm not selling that short at all, but there is nobody that needs a stint in AAA more than Johan Rojas.
Yeah,
and he's riding the pine tonight. They got Marsh over in center. They got Witt over in left, and Witt, he's a disaster right now. He can't seem to find the ball whatsoever. I think he's bottom of the team in batting average. If not, he's right there with Castellanos and Rojas.
Well, and we're talking about your defensive play. Witt he has utility playing all different positions for an injury, but his defensive play isn't better than any of these individuals that he's replacing. No. He's not doing better at third base. He's not doing better at second base. He's not doing better in the outfield.
No, he's an average glove at any position he plays, and it makes him very valuable that if you have an infielder go out, he can play, like we talked about this, he can play every position other than pitcher and catcher.
Yes.
Is he going to be a great first baseman? Probably not.
No.
But first base is the easiest defensive position to play. Obviously, if you don't practice it's going to be a little tricky.
We can survive a little bit of a stint if somebody needs a little bit extra time.
But you'd never need him to be at first.
Exactly.
Like, the only way he'd ever play first is if Bohm and Harper both go out at the same time. Because if Harper's out or needs a rest and all, you move Bohm to first. You have Witt at third. You have Edmundo Sosa. He's 3 for 4 on the season. Get him a little bit more looks right now, especially if it's an infielder going out, so that you can try to give Whit Merrifield a little bit of a rest. But you have just a lot of different things. Look, hard agree about Marsh. Pull Rojas at this point, put Marion. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about. And look, I liked the Whit Merrifield signing. He was a 300 hitter for 2/3 of last season in Toronto, and then the last third of the season, he was a below 200 hitter. I think there is something there. He's proven it over a long stretch of his career. Right now, he's really struggling. Had an incredible spring, but that means absolutely nothing when it comes to the regular season. So if it's in the outfield, I really think they're doing a disservice to Christian Pache. I think he's a guy that deserves a lot of respect out there. Our guy, Ben Silver, we're going to be having him on to a full episode here shortly. If anybody knows baseball, it's Ben Silver. He was talking the other day at our poker night when we were out there playing poker with a bunch of great guys. He was like, look, Christian Pache's sitting there on the bench just watching these guys play. But it's ridiculous because if you're arguing you need a better defensive glove out there, and that's why Johan Rojas is out there, Christian Pache might be the second best glove in Major League Baseball in the outfield. Yeah. He is almost equally as fast. He can cover
an animal. He's got it. He's got it on lock. He's got it covered.
They're both Gold Glove caliber center fielders or outfielders, if you want to say they can play anywhere.
And so here's the problem. Witt is older. He's got a lot of miles on him. We're resting 24-year-olds, 22-year-olds to let.
I think Pache started one game, I think.
We're resting Bohm, we're resting Stott, we're resting Marsh, who's younger than Witt.
Yeah. No, I mean, not playing Stott is asinine, especially to start this season. His reversal splits, he's always hit lefties better than righties, and it's been even more severe this season with him starting off at a little bit of a slump this year. He's hitting lefties phenomenally, and then you just see randomly. And again, the most annoying part is it's completely random. You'll have one game where it's a lefty starter and Stott's in there, and another game where it's a lefty starter and he's not in there. And I get it. Like, you want to, if he has a bad career against this guy just simply has his number, but it's way too early in his career to be like, oh yeah, this guy has clearly shown throughout the years that Bryson Stott cannot hit him. And so why is Bryson Stott not in there every single game? Yeah. Why is Brandon Marsh? Obviously, he leads the team in home runs. I believe he's one of the top 3. I know he's one of the top 3 in RBIs. He's the top guy in batting average. He's the top guy in OPS. I mean, the guy is just incredible, and he's going on a career historic pace, and you're just platooning him every now and then. It seems like they finally got their head out of their ass, and they're playing him very regularly now. But I swear, we all know he's going to be on the bench here shortly.
And the biggest frustration for me, Jake, is that we don't start these guys and then we go down and they say, oh, 7th inning, let's bring him in. Let's rally the crowd. Let's put him in. Even though they need to be in from the get-go. If they have a little bit of soreness mid-game, that's why you have Witt ready to go. But we're not benching Brandon Marsh for 7 innings. He comes in, he hits a home run, or he hits a 2 RBI double. And then we're like, oh, well, yeah, we should start him the whole time. You should put your best players on the field.
Yeah.
Put your best foot forward and stop with this whole min-max. Where do we rest people? Where do we start people? It's just frustrating at this point. Already, how many games in?
No, I mean, and that's kind of where the topic tonight is like, how early is too early? Because you already see on the social medias and all, I'm complaining. The bats are for the most part, aside from a few guys, are pretty atrocious. The approach to the plate hasn't changed one bit from when we saw how they got bounced in the postseason last year. At what point is it no longer too early? I was complaining the other day when the offense was absolutely terrible. I feel like they've been shut out 3 times already this season. And they were shut out again against Lance Lynn, who's given up the most home runs in Major League Baseball in the last 2 or 3 years, blowing people away with 91-mile-per-hour fastballs right down the dick. And people are like, oh, come on, man, it's 11, 12 games in. Like, what are you talking about? Because I said, like, how hot is Kevin Long's seat? But, yeah, I don't care if it's 11, 12 games in. Yeah. Again, this team made it into the postseason by 1 game the year that they finally broke their drought. And then everybody's sitting there like, oh, they're back. They went on a miraculous postseason run, went all the way to the World Series. Probably should have won the World Series if it wasn't for a terrible collapse. But again, Philadelphia, that's what we do apparently right now. In the 2020s, that's all we do. And then the next year, we get off to another very slow pace. We're talking about multiple different points of the season where we're 5, 6, 7 games below 500. The team looks exactly the same. We're having the same exact problems every single year. So when it's the same issues time and time again, I'm going to bring them up.
Yeah.
Because you're still seeing people swing at everything off the plate. The strikeout numbers are astronomical. The whiff rate's insane. We have no hits. We had a game where we had, I think, 9 hits, all singles, and we didn't score a single run. Yeah. We're bottom of the league.
Mean, we have to be number 1 in stranded base runners.
Oh, our on base percentage or our batting average with players in scoring position is atrocious.
Yeah.
And again, to me, that falls on Kevin Long. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, I'm going to give it until June and before I'm mad, because you can ruin a season by that point.
Absolutely. I mean, 12 games into this season is a good chunk. We're talking 6-7% of the season right now.
Yeah.
And if you duplicate that for the next 6-7% 3 times, we're talking about a quarter of the season that we are just playing subpar baseball. We're not playing well.
I got good news for you.
What's that?
If you refresh that page, Bryson Stott 2-run shot.
Let's
go. Mr. Stott, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Make my dreams come true. Shout out, little Office reference there. But yeah, Bryson Stott cracking the game wide open, making it 5-0 Phillies. And look, this Pirates team is a good team. Our buddy Seamus over at From the Nosebleeds was posting all kinds of stats on Twitter today, talking about, I think they have 5 players on the team with over a 285 batting average. Like, yeah, they were 7-2, I think, at a point. I'm not 100% where they're at right now, but they're still a very solid team. They tend to go off on pretty solid starts to the season, but this is a team that's hitting the ball very well. It's a team that's pitching very well. They're 9-3 right now, about to be 9-4, as long as we can hold on in the last inning and a half. But this is a team that is coming in hot, coming to Citizens Bank Park, where thus far this season we have not played very well. Yeah. So I'm very happy about this outing. It's tough, though. You still see a lot of times the very first inning, first 2 guys get up on base. Bryce Harper, what does he do? Ground to a double play. Next guy strikes out. There's just way, way, way too much meat left on the bones in a lot of these different appearances and all. And so there's a lot of things that need to change, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you, Jake. When you have two base runners, and maybe one of them in scoring position, maybe two of them in scoring position. If
you have 2 base runners, you have at least one in scoring position.
At least one. But if you have 2 of them, if you have a man on second and third, you need to be just hitting to the – it's next man up baseball. We've talked about this ad nauseum on this podcast here. We need to play better ball. You can't be swinging at every garbage pitch thrown your way.
Work counts, take walks.
If you take a first pitch strike, I'm okay with that. See the pitch, see the count.
Yeah.
And get some tactical play here and just bat people in.
Yeah.
Because we could be putting 13,
Look, get him on, get him
runs
over,
on
get
the
him
board.
in. That's the whole thing. That's the old get him on, get him over, get him in. And it's just this team plays very selfish baseball. It sits there and just everybody tries to play hero ball. And look, when you have guys, you go down that whole list. Almost everybody on the team is plus speed. Bryson Stott's fast.
We have a lot of speed
fast.
on our team.
Trey Turner's blazing fast. Pache, Rojas, all fast. Brandon Marsh, fast. Like you get on base, you work a walk, and that's huge. And especially with the way that they've been way more aggressive on the base, be smart on the base path. This team has been atrocious with outs on the base path. How many times can I say base path in one rant? Golly, that's a lot.
Base path.
Yeah,
base
seriously, say it 5 times fast. Well, don't.
Yeah.
But
on that note, Trey Turner got his
39th consecutive
steal.
Yeah.
No, we have a lot of speed. We have a lot of. It just needs to be more disciplined. Take some pitches, see the count, and at the end of the day, if your starting pitcher is throwing 60 pitches through 5 innings, that's not really good.
No.
But if we can just take them deeper into innings. Shout out Billy Bean, Moneyball here. We need to be getting on base. We need to be putting runners in scoring positions. We need to be getting hits or fouls off of these starting pitchers.
Yeah. No, you need to work deep in counts. And like I said, with the amount of speed that we have, with the aggression that we're showing on the base path, as long as you're not being an idiot out there, getting on base by any means should be the main priority. And then how many times do we see 4, 5, 6 pitch walks, and then the very first pitch of the next at bat, the guy swinging out of his shoes? The guy can't find the strike zone, and we're bailing him out. We bail out so many pitchers. And look, it's tough for me to complain right now. They're up 5-0. They're playing a great game. Ranger Suarez, our starting pitching has been, other than that one Nola start, his very first start of the season, our starting pitching has got to be one of the best starting pitching ERAs in all of baseball. I know overall we're 10th in baseball in just our entire pitching ERA, but Turnbull, 0 ERA. Wheeler, sub 2 ERA. Now, Ranger is a sub 2.75. I think it's 2.65 ERA. Nola's settled in pretty well. And then Chris Sanchez had one bad-ish outing. He seems to just be kind of overthrowing his pitches a little bit. But our starting rotation has been absolutely lights out. And there's really only been a few people. Sir Anthony's been like one of the only guys. And then obviously Brogdon, he's been shipped out. Yeah. Sir Anthony's been like the only guy where you're really holding your breath anytime that he steps out there. How about Junior Marte stepping up huge this year?
Junior Marte, yes.
No, Junior Marte has been huge this year. Jeff Hoffman had that one bad little out in the 9th inning. They ended up coming back and winning that game, so it didn't come back and really bite him, but he's been huge this year. Alvarado, again, other than that first game, has been lights out. So you have a lot of positives, but the bats really come down to it. When the pitching is top 10 in ERA in baseball right now, including everything combined, it falls on the offense.
It does. And giving your pitching staff a little bit of breathing room here.
Yeah.
If you're going into
Taijuan Walker stinking led the team in wins. He also led the starting rotation ERA. We just happened to hit the shit out of the ball whenever he was on the dish.
Yeah. And you're giving your middle reliever, you're giving your closer a 1-run decision, maybe a tie, and it gets tough. You need to give your pitchers a little bit of breathing room here. Bats need to get moving. We need to drive runs in. Yeah. You shouldn't be winning games 1-2 or 2-3. It shouldn't be a 1-run margin.
No.
Easily with this speed on this team, with this hitting rotation, with the power that we have to crack one every once in a while, it should be pretty easy to be up 4, 5, 6 runs.
Yeah. And my big thing with Kevin Long and all, we got John and Bethany. John, let me finish this rant really quick, and then I'll go right to you. But my big argument with Kevin Long is, what do you think is more important? The fact that he turned Brandon Marsh around, which is great. I mean, I'm not selling that short at all. Yeah. Or the fact that some of these top-level hitters are hitting at the bottom of their entire career. Because in my opinion, turning one guy around is not nearly as detrimental as Nick Castellanos being completely lost at plate. And he literally said, yeah, they're changing our approach. They really changed things up on us. They're having us do a lot of different things. And I've just kind of lost it out there. That's not good. John and Bethany, John and Lewis. He corrected me when we were down there. We got John and Lewis.
What's up, John?
Here.
How are we doing tonight?
Good evening, guys. How are you tonight?
Oh, we're splendid. Yourself?
Splendid. Watching this 5-0 comfortable lead that the Phillies are putting into the 9th inning. So things are good. Things are good on that end. But
yeah, no kidding.
Flyers, on the other hand,
Hey, they're up 3-1. They take elite teams to the wire, and they get absolutely ran over by the worst teams.
We're looking at an Eagles situation on the Flyers, then, aren't we?
Oh, it's real bad. I mean, look, the only reason the Eagles collapse is worse is because they had so much higher expectations. Because at the end of the day, the Flyers are who we thought they were. Like, this is exactly
the Flyers are massively outperforming expectations.
In Green's voice, right? What was that coach for Minnesota? We are who they thought. No, Arizona. We are who they thought we were.
Exactly. They are who we thought they were.
They were.
Oh yeah.
Crow their asses.
No, this is exactly who we thought the Flyers were. It's a shame because expectations were built to what they were, that it's now just such a disaster. I mean, they had an 85% chance to make the postseason when we were over doing our live show. And I said it right then. I said, look, gun to my head, you have to bet your life savings. Are the Flyers making or missing the postseason? And this is when they still had a pretty solid chance. What did I say?
You said they weren't making it.
I said they are not making the postseason. And that was right at the beginning of the stretch. To lose 8 in a row down the absolute meat of the season where you need to have it is absolutely unforgivable.
It is, and they would take teams to overtime, and they're not a good overtime and shootout team, and we've seen this the last few years, especially with John Tortorella putting guys out there who are two-way players, but they're not scorers. I mean, they're not the Vaclav Prospels that I mentioned at the last live show. I mean, they don't put the puck in the back of the net. They're great on fast breaks, but when it comes to putting the great shooters and putting it in the back, they're just not that team, and they need to score.
They got a team of playmakers. They got a team of playmakers and very few scores. They can pass with the best of them, and they can shoot it right at the goalie with the best of them.
Yeah.
And you've seen some, like Owen Tippett had that incredible goal. You've seen Konechny snipe some. Tyson Forrester has sniped some. Like, they have guys that can score, but obviously we have no Austin Matthews. He's at 67 goals, 68 goals.
They got a bunch of 20-goal score guys.
Yeah, I mean, every single year,
Mike Richards of the world.
Every single year, the Flyers are in the tops of the league of the most guys with double-digit goals. But you have 6 guys with 11 goals. You don't have one guy with 50 and a handful of guys in the teams.
Multiple people with 50, 60, 70 points a season.
I mean,
you need a guy
you need a guy that scares the hell out of the defense. You got to have his eyes on that number the entire game, because if you don't, he's going to burn you.
Back Donald Bashir.
No stuff. Mitchkov. I mean,
that man struck fear.
Yeah, for a completely different reason. They weren't scared of him scoring. They're scared of him killing them.
Yes. But no, Mitchkov, when he comes over, I mean, we just got,
I mean, again, that's a big.
We just got the 6'8" Russian goalie coming over. Give him a little bit of time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not giving up on. I thought it was Fedotov. It's like Fedotov or something like that. It's I don't know. It's some weird pronunciation.
Well, they've got the 2 Russians, and they're going to be battling out for the second spot behind Urson, and their prospects are looking up. But I think that Briere, thank God Fletcher's gone, but Briere needs to step up and get a star in here. Yeah. It's time to break the bank a little bit when it's time. I mean, the young guys are producing, and they're coming up.
Yeah, I mean, they could have had Johnny Ham and Cheese. They could have had Johnny Ham and Cheese at a discount. Johnny Gaudreau said he will come to Philadelphia at a discounted rate, and Chuck Fletcher said, no, we're good.
Yeah, I don't think it's the time. John, I disagree with you.
No, we're good.
I think
he's young. He signed for like 8 years. Like, you're telling me anywhere in that 8-year stretch wouldn't be the time.
We're farther away from Mitchkov than anyone thinks.
Yeah, he's not coming for 2 years.
Yes. And we need to develop a little bit of prospects that Torts, he already said. Torts came out today, said, I'm coming back. And ownership said, yeah, we want to have him back. We want to instill this young mindset here. We need a little bit of a building block. We need another draft pick. We need another higher draft pick.
Yeah, and that's why, like I said at the beginning of the year, because inevitably, we are doing what I said we are going to do. We are missing the postseason. Guys, you're
forgetting one thing also. We need a Niskanen. We need another Niskanen. And a veteran defender.
Give me a chemo team and in back here. Well, we stinking had what's his name? That got injured 3 games into him signing here. What?
Torn Soaz. Yeah, Torn Soaz guy. Yeah, he battered. Yeah, we gave up Nolan Patrick for him.
Yeah, and he's thinking 3 games into his career here, he's out of the league, which is a shame because he was a very highly regarded defenseman. And then we completely overpaid for Rasmus Ristolainen and Hated that trade, hated that extension, hate the player, really. I mean, the guy's not a good player. I'm optimistic about Jamie Drysdale. You have a number of different guys out there that are fine, but you have no veteran.
Finnish defender we had. Remember Joni Pitkanen?
Good old Joni.
He could have been so great, but I think he's just relying these Finnish guys. They fizzle out, I guess.
Shell Samuelson.
Well, and remember that Philly isn't a team that ever truly commits to the full rebuild. The Flyers, we're never going to tear it all down, trade it all away, and fully rebuild. So we have to work within the constraints.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing we did was 2 years ago, trading away Giroux and doing all that. That was the closest we've come.
But that wasn't even close to a full rebuild. That was just getting some picks, getting some young talent in. We retained Couturier, and we still made some trades.
John, that's my question. Sean Couturier, are you trading this offseason? What are we doing with him?
110%. He was a mistake listen, Couturier has not been the same for 2 to 3 years. He's brittle, he's hurt, he's slow, he's like the white blob on skates. And let me tell you, I love Sean Couturier for what he's done.
Skates, John.
But but listen, Couturier was not captain material. Travis Konechny was plays nasty, plays like Mike Richards. He deserved to be captain, and I disagree with Torts' decision to crown him captain. I'm sorry.
I mean,
it was not Torts' decision at all.
I thought it was the obvious choice. I thought Couturier was the obvious choice. Drysdale is young. Some Flyers fans are getting pitchforks to dump him, but knowing Philly luck, he'll thrive later, like Bobrovsky, and dumped away. I mean, look, no, I don't want Drysdale to go anywhere. I don't think anybody here wants Drysdale going anywhere. I like him. I've said my hot take was he's a better Shane Gostisbehere.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a better offensive defenseman.
He's quicker. He's a way better skater than Shane Gostisbehere. But back in the day, guys, look at the captains of the Flyers past. Eric Lindros, Keith Primo. Guys that are big and imposing. Pronger. We got guys that are big and imposing to be captains. And lately, we've had little whiny babies. And I'm not trying
little whiny babies. Sean Couturier. You heard it here. John from Lewis says Sean Couturier, certified little whiny baby.
Well, guess what he said? He goes, "Well, I'm sick of the way I'm treated in Philadelphia right now." Well, let me tell you something. You're not playing like a captain. You're not leading like a captain.
Yeah, but you also don't bench him. You don't give him the C and then bench him. Like, I get it. You're trying to send a message. You don't do that. Like, that's not what a head coach does to his captain. What kind of message does that send? You're sitting here trying to be like, oh, well, he's not acting like a captain. Okay, well, a coach doesn't bench his captain. You don't do that. You don't sit there and like, it's not on. Yeah, Torts does. Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
That's why Torts is there to reshape and remold an organization, and then he gets bounced because he can't stay anywhere because he loses relationships, he loses locker rooms, he loses players. Nobody wants to play long-term for him. I mean, Kevin Hayes, he obviously he wanted to leave. He was a pretty solid player for the time that he was here. And then, but I want to touch on Deep Sky Bree commenting on YouTube talking about players that have left. How about sneaking Anthony Stolarz? Guy we gave away for absolutely nothing. Now is the Panthers goalie and is playing
out of his mind. Yes.
I mean, he's another 6'7", just oversized big goalie.
Well, he is
playing incredible
a lot with the Flyers. He struggled a lot.
Yeah, but we do that. We give up on these guys. I mean, but
wait,
again,
Jake, let me ask you this: are you saying that the coaches in Philadelphia might help run people out of town?
The coaches, sure. The fans and media don't.
Guys, you gotta understand. Like, look at our coaching history. I mean, the Hackett was a terrible, terrible hire. He was inexperienced.
Give me Craig Berube back.
Yeah, I would take Craig Berube.
Give me the Chief. No.
Well, when you go back into Chuck Fletcher, we got Chuck Fletcher over the Wild, who never did jack with the Wild. It was a huge mistake after Hextall as a general manager.
Yeah, I mean, Hextall was a mistake.
They rushed it. They rushed it to hire Chuck Fletcher from the Wild, who didn't do anything. He was never.
No, he held this franchise back considerably.
He did. He took us back. He made our franchise a laughing stock in the NHL. And Torts is the only one that's lit a fire under our players and our organization. I think he's done a hell of a job.
Amen.
No, look,
Amen.
I like a fiery coach. I like a coach that holds people accountable. Like his whole stance on Bobby Brink when they were going to play in Minnesota. You're talking about the Wild, and his family was going to be there and all. And he was like, "Look, I'm sorry, you're not playing with enough. You're a healthy scratch tonight." And like you need that. You need a coach
Well,
that's willing to make those tough decisions. But you don't bench your captain. You don't like he's done some things as well.
If we're not doing a full rebuild, we have to cobble together what we have. And that's when you bring someone like Torts in. He's going to light a fire under players, young and old.
Phillies won.
And guys, you had a good point as well, Jake. I mean, you talked about the draft. I mean, here's the thing, though. The Flyers have a bunch of mid to late round, first round picks. You've got to get up in that top 10.
This year
you need a star.
This year, it's very, very top heavy. There's a reason why I loved the trade that they were able to get. Who was it? They traded Nick Sealer, was it? Who'd they trade that they got the 2025?
Walker. They traded
Walker for the 2025 first round pick. The fact that he got a 2025 is so valuable because a lot of people believe the 2025 NHL draft is going to be far deeper and far stronger than the 24. This draft is very similar to the Nolan Patrick draft, people are saying, where you got a handful of guys that are going to be decent.
It's like top 3, and then it's just a fall off.
It's a complete guessing game after that. And look, naturally, every year you're going to have some stars come out of it that you just never expected. People that just, were decent prospects that turn into home runs, and they may inevitably find one of those guys. But I'm not 100% on. We got 4 picks in the first 2 rounds the next 2 years. Let's take 3 of them and get to 5 this year. Now, I'm not 100% on that. Like, if Danny Briere and Keith Jones.
I want to get in the lottery.
Yeah, at least have a shot. At least have give me a 1% shot.
A 0.03 or whatever the lowest chance is.
Yeah, give me a 1% shot at them getting the first overall pick, and I'm fine with that. And then they inevitably get the 9th pick or something like that, and that's fine. Yeah. But I'm not sitting here being like, let's take 3 of those top 2 round picks over the next 2 years, get to 5, and then it's a complete guess. And then naturally, with the way that it works in Philadelphia, the guy's going to be a nothing burger. And look, I have all the faith in the world in Keith Jones and Danny Briere, so I feel a lot more optimistic now if they did that as opposed to years past. But it's still just it's something I'd rather them do in 2025 rather than this upcoming year. Phillies ended up winning 5-1. Flyers again are up 3-1 now. You can pull that up. They should be up 3-1 against the Rangers. It's a shame. They're going to miss the postseason. This is a game. Yep, they're up 3-1. End of the second period. It's a game that they should lose. Honestly, we're talking about them getting the lottery. They should try to lose this game.
They should.
Like it's past the point.
I don't believe, guys.
So here's a controversial one for you.
No, I hear you.
Do we believe in the tank?
That's what John just said. No, he said
I don't believe in tanking. Absolutely not. Because when you start tanking, you are hurting your own rebuilding, hurting the locker room chemistry that Torts is trying to build. And to be honest with you guys, I still want them to trade up in the draft, like to be aggressive in the draft, like the Eagles do, with the right player in the right situation.
Yeah, like I said, I have a lot of faith in Briere and Jones, and if they have somebody that they're like, we've done our due diligence, this is a guy we absolutely need to get, then I'll be like, hey, you know what? Go for it. Like, I'd be upset if we had a GM and a president that weren't willing to be like, I wholeheartedly believe this guy is going to be a franchise-altering player, and they didn't make the move for him. I'd be way more upset if they did that. So if they have that guy,
so let's separate this out.
But John, you're also the guy that said we needed to trade for Marc-Andre Fleury.
We're not talking about.
No. Wait. Hold on, Jake. Hold on, Jake. I said we were in dire straits with the injuries and the Carter Hart situation that we had a goalie. And by then, and back then, we were doing well. We were doing well.
No, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
3 or 4 in the conference. We were contenders at that point.
Yeah.
Now they're pretenders. Now we find out they're pretenders, so you may be right about that. But Andre Fleury was a leader. He could have been a leader. I hate the guy for years with Pittsburgh, but he could have been a leader. And he could have helped a young Gerson develop, So that was kind of my mindset on that.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. John, you got any thoughts on the Sixers or Phillies or Eagles as we approach any of that?
One more about the Sixers. Now that Embiid's back, he's entrenched in the lineup. I want to know from you guys what you think about the depth chart now. Buddy Hield, Lowry, all those guys. Who should be our starting lineup in the first round of the playoffs?
I love it. I'm gonna hop off here and we're gonna answer that on air. Really appreciate the time, John.
All right, guys. Chat with you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, we're talking about the starting 5 for your Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, let me pull everybody up here just so you're thinking of everything, and sometimes you say it and then you're like, wait, how could I have possibly forgotten about this person? So let's go ahead and I'm going to pull up.
I got it right here.
There we go. Pulling up Tuesday's box score and everything. Obviously, at 5, 7'2" from Cameroon, Joel Embiid.
Yeah, it has to be him.
Yeah, obviously. I mean that's obvious.
Yeah.
And then at 1, Tyrese Maxey. Yeah, I mean Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, right there. Obviously, look, I have somewhat of a hot take, and a lot of people. I mean, it's not that hot because a lot of people aren't agree with me. I think Tobias Harris could be great off the bench. I think he's a guy that could be great off the bench. Yeah. I think he should probably start on the bench. That's just me. Okay. I think with the way that look, I mean, you got a number of different guys. I know it's slightly different position. You got Kelly Oubre playing a really, really solid basketball right now. You got Anthony Melton, who's finally come back. I get it, he's a point guard, but he can you can move these roles around. You can have a little bit of a smaller lineup out there for a time being. But I'll still probably say, just because of the veteran presence and everything, and the fact that we've seen him every now and again step up in the postseason. So I'll say Tobias Harris out there at the power forward position. Give me Kelly Oubre at small forward, and then it's tough. I don't think Buddy Hield's a starter. I think he's a guy that comes off the bench. Yeah. D'Anthony Melton, when healthy, is obvious. He's a guy that should be out there. He's solid on both ends of the court and everything. But he's a guy, you just heard, we had Doc on our last episode with the injuries that he's had with that back. It's so hit or miss. It could be fine one day and completely flare up the next. So I'm not 100% if you can trust him out there as your starter. But obviously, I mean, Ricky Council is not going to be your starter.
I mean, we talked about this before the trade deadline. Your thoughts on Kyle Lowry?
Yeah, I mean, he's a fine piece off the bench. Yeah. Like that's all he is. Like we said, when people like, he's not a difference maker. No, he's not. But is he better than the worst guy on your team? Yes. Yeah. So factually, he makes your team better. Yeah. If he's better than the worst guy that was there previously, he makes the team better. And he was. And he was better than the worst point guard that we had on the bench.
It's different than in baseball, where the platoon aspect, you can't put a player back in and take him out and put him back in. Basketball is different. You can rotate all these guys off the bench.
That is how basketball works.
That is how basketball works, Jake. I know that. I'm here, but if you had a bigger bench rotation off of this, I mean, Lowry, we're talking Covington too.
Well, Rocco hasn't played. He hasn't played in months. I don't even know if he's alive, honestly.
It might be.
Robert Covington hasn't played. I don't think he's played a minute since he joined, since we traded for him. He's been injured since then. It's only, Robert Covington's not there. But look, you have Nick Nurse, who actually knows how to use a second unit. We're talking about Glenn Rivers on the Bucks, who was probably the best signing that we could have ever hoped for the Bucks to make, because he is just terrible. We talked Adam Smith, Barstool Smitty. We were playing poker with him on Saturday. He was saying his wet dream is for the 76ers to go down 3-1 against the Bucks and come back and win, just so we can add another 3-1 collapse onto Glenn Rivers' completely overrated resume.
I know you won't say it, but I'll call it a good old Doc.
No, he's not a Doc. He gave himself that nickname, first of all.
That's fine.
No, you don't give yourself a nickname.
You can choose your own nickname.
No, you don't. You cannot choose. That's the question, chat. Can you choose your own nickname? You see the call-in number.
Throw it in. Call in. Can you choose your
Deep Sky Brave? If you're still there,
nickname?
Call in. Let's hear a lot. I want to hear your thoughts on the Phils. You're obviously talking some Flyers here. We're talking all things Philly sports here. So I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from anybody out there. So go ahead, call in, give your thoughts. Phillies winners of 2 in a row now. They're back 1 game above 500, I believe. I believe they are now 7-6 or 6-5. We can pull it up.
6.
We'll pull it up. It's we have the technology, if you will.
They're 7-6.
7-6. So we're back 1 game above 500. The Braves are 7-4. So we're a game behind them, obviously, as we know half games work, as they've played 2 less games than us. They got absolutely trounced by the Mets the other game, 16-4.
And they got big problems with Strider having UCL damage.
And look, any Philadelphia fan that's cheering for that, shame on you.
Yeah.
I mean, look, like,
you don't want to see an athlete get hurt. You don't.
No, you're not sitting here rooting for a guy to get Tommy John surgery. No. Like, there's some players, like there's what was Greg Hardy on the Cowboys, who was just a real piece of shit.
Is he getting surgery, or is he
I believe
resting
I believe they were sending him for a second opinion, but
So the report I saw said he had UCL damage. It didn't say he needed surgery. They might just shut him down. They might rehab him, which we're all hoping, even as division rivals. he's okay.
Yeah, he's going under more tests. He's not. It's not 100%. They have found damage to the UCL, so you would have to imagine they're going to do some kind of repair. It could be similar to the Bryce Harper, where it was a repair, not a complete tear or anything. So you never know. But
we can ask Doc about it. Doc Mesa. Shout out Delaware Orthopedic.
We'll have the old Doc Mesa from our friends at Delaware Orthopedic Specialists hop on and break that down, because that's going to be a huge difference maker
for the division.
For the division. Yeah. Obviously, we're in the hunt right now. We could be tied for the lead. Really, with the way we've lost some of these games, we could be at least tied for the division, if not leading it. So it's a shame that we're not. But no, it's going to be a tight race. Be really curious to see what really comes of it and all. But that's a big loss for them. And again, you don't root for guys to get injured.
You don't want to hear it. And the team's number one pitcher.
Yeah.
Whether or not we're
young,
rivals,
he's incredible.
Yeah, it's just
he's never said or done anything that you're like, oh, I hate that guy.
Me and you were both there in the playoffs, and we're chanting Strider, but we're not saying malicious things.
No, we're saying his name.
Yeah, we're chanting. We're trying to pump him up, but it's very sad to see. And
we're telling people drive safe.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, have a safe drive home.
That's not exactly how you said it, but
it's what I said.
If
you found a transcript
technically
of what I said,
I said,
hey,
said, yes.
Have a safe drive home. I thought it was a very polite thing to say to a Braves fan that was leaving the stadium.
Yeah, well, it's the context of it.
Sure. If I said it a couple hours earlier, they would have been, hey, thank you.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Hey, don't forget, bring back Dollar Dogs.
There it is. Tackle up. Bring back Dollar Dog shirt. Head on up, tackleup.net. If you buy more than one shirt, shipping is free. You can use the Talking 215 promo code for 15% off site wide. Get yourself some the official.
They're very comfortable. They're very soft. They're UVF 50.
50. No, they're the official day game shirt of the Phils, because you're out there getting the sun just beating down on you.
Absolutely.
Winds barely coming through the stadium.
Golf. I am so much more tan than you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're more tan. We're not doing it.
But I still wear these shirts. I mean, you don't want that you don't want to be carrying sunblock in your back pocket to like reapply. Get these shirts. Yeah, they're awesome. They're comfortable. They're washable. Tackle Up. Check them out.
Tackleup.net. Yeah, no, good folks there. And then obviously you see our hats here. We're both rocking the Dewey beer hats. We're in late stage conversation with Dewey. We're hoping to finalize everything there so we can give you guys some of the delicious Dewey beer that they provide. We're hoping to be doing some shows whenever we go down to the beach at their brew pub, voted one of the best, if not the best brew pub in Delaware.
No, it is the current #1 brew pub in the country.
In the world.
I don't know about the world. The country.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was unaware of that. I'm gonna have to verify that.
Yeah. It's on their door. Go check them out. They're in Dewey.
They are in Dewey. They're also in Colorado. Shout out Dewey.
No, and soon to be in Philadelphia when we take them up there.
Exactly. Soon to be in the G lot. But no, Dewey, we're hoping to finalize things with that. So yeah, a lot of fun things coming. Bucket Golf, Dewey, Tackle Up, DOS, all of it. Car Dirty, head on over to White Glove. Anyway, enough with our sponsors. Spencer Strider, Braves struggling, Phils seemingly coming around again. Love to see the
surging, yeah.
Love to see the daycare really come with some power. Alec Boehm, Brandon Marsh, Bryson Stott all had home runs tonight. Absolutely love to see that, especially when I think the over-under I put for Alec Boehm this year was 24.5. I'll have to go back and look at that, but I believe I set his over-under home runs at 24.5.
It's all clipped. We can check.
Yeah, would like to see. It might have even been higher because I obviously everybody knows I'm a huge Boehm guy. Big Boehm
batting title. You bet him to bet?
No, that was Bryson Stott.
Bryson Stott, a batting title. Okay.
Yeah, but big Boehm guy. So really hoping to see him turn it around or continually pitch very, very well. They will trade up for JC Latham. I think that's a Flyers comment that we have there. Maybe. Again, if they have somebody that they are dead set on, go right ahead. But if they're not completely sold on bringing up one of these guys, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you absolutely have to make that move. But we're bouncing all around. So that's our, starting five, like we said, for the Sixers to go way back. Joel, Tyrese, Tobias, Kelly Oubre, and then
a heavy emphasis on the bench rotation.
Yeah, and then
that's what both of us want to see.
That fifth role is going to be, could be a number of different guys. D'Anthony Melton, if healthy, I think is your best bet there. Ricky Council's been playing really well. You have a number of different options.
Jake. So the past two off seasons,
Nicholas Batum,
or not off seasons, post seasons, Joel hasn't been that healthy. Where do you think he lands? You think he's ready? You think he's coming back?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, we heard from Dr. Mesa. Obviously, anything Dr. Mesa says, and in Mesa we trust with this
Mesa
kind of knowledge.
We trust, yeah.
And he was talking. He was like, look, this is no longer like any kind of minute restriction or anything is not anything related to that knee. It's all conditioning. Said the knee's 100%.
And coming off all of that rest, that downtime, you weren't playing games.
He's a big boy.
He's a big boy.
He's 7'2". He's a big boy.
Our bodies are very different than his.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different forces. Do you think that he makes it through this playoffs healthy, playing every game?
As long as there's no setbacks, he's going to have a monstrous postseason. There's no reason not to think he would. You've seen him come back. He led, I think, all players in minutes in that Pistons game. He had 36 minutes, I believe. He was a massive force there. He's almost at a point per minute pace again. He was more points than minutes played before he went out. He's almost back there at a point per minute pace. Going over the birds, Eagles versus Packers in Brazil. Didn't have that on my 2024 bingo card. Kind of disappointed that it's a huge NFC game that doesn't take place at Link. Yeah, it's a shame. I hate. You've heard me talk all the time. I hate these international games. I think it's very unfair to the players. It's so you want to talk about player safety.
Well, you're taking a home game away from us.
You're taking a home game away. You've seen the conditions of the fields that we've played on previously. You saw that when they played in Mexico, how atrocious that one field was. You're moving players around. You listen to any kind of sleep expert. It's so detrimental to their health, that amount of time flying over these other countries, getting acclimated. You never have enough time.
It's travel time. It's all that nonsense.
Also, we posted on our Twitter yesterday, the NFL Big Report. It was going to be Eagles Browns, but Brazilian officials have decided to not let Deshaun Watson into their country. Little tongue in cheek there, but I love how many people believed it. Also, to the one guy that follows us,
I saw
that reported it 45 minutes after we reported that. Obviously, again, it's a joke.
It is a joke.
You didn't see us post it.
Yeah,
you follow us and you post.
Maybe
I'm a little jealous.
He thought it was a cool joke. He retweeted it.
No, he did not retweet it. He posted it on his own. And look, I'm a little jealous. Ours got a couple thousand views. His got 300,000. Should have been all ours. Should have put credit where credit is due. Yeah. But what are you gonna do? That's the world of content creation.
You just DM him and see if he wants more jokes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, he's real Amy Schumer, if you will.
But in the grand scheme of things, it was the Browns and the Packers were in competition. They hadn't.
No, it was just. I mean, there was reports. There was never any competition. It was just. And obviously, it was a complete joke about. I was making a joke about serial sexual predator Deshaun Watson being unable to travel to Brazil. But no, he's a piece of shit. So I still am looking forward to them playing them. Yes. And the only thing that I'm really disappointed
we get a home game against them.
Yeah, and the only thing I'm really disappointed is that we won't be able to see Hassan Reddick destroy Deshaun Watson, because that was something that I talked about as being a game that I've circled on the calendar. So now Bryce Huff, Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter. Because shout out Fletcher Cox.
Yes.
We've talked about it a couple times.
Boy,
shout out
I have 4 Fletcher Cox jerseys. I'm a big Fletcher Cox fan. I'm sad to see him go.
You hate no more Chris Collinsworths. Look at the penetration by Cox. No more of that. It's a shame. You're gonna miss it. I mean,
now all he has to talk about is
Landon Dickerson coming down your throat.
Yeah.
What a top tier Chris Collinsworth-ism. Get a taste of Landon Dickerson.
Well, I don't think he's talked about that. And last year, he just talked about Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Chris Collinsworth is a big Patrick Mahomes fan.
Is he?
In case you haven't noticed.
Is he? No, so yeah, touching on the Eagles, obviously draft's rapidly approaching, just a few weeks away. We touched on our recorded episode. If there's any specific position that you're really hoping that they target, we all said like it's probably going to be offensive line. Like, let's be honest.
It's probably.
That's what Howie does. And obviously has a very successful track record with it, is seemingly whenever we draft offensive line, we do pretty damn well with that pick. And that's, that's a real testament to Jeff Stoutland. More than anything else, I'd love for them to go after a top secondary player, a top cornerback. We've got seemingly 19 cornerbacks on the roster right now, so who knows if they're really going to value that. Yeah, Keely Ringo, who's still very young. Yeah, Eli Ricks is young. I have no idea. I think our cornerbacks aren't very good. I think Darius Slay's another year older, and he's just every year it's shown to be getting closer and closer to just being an average cornerback. He still has flashes of greatness, but he's just every year seems to get closer and closer to being average. James Bradbury had the awful collapse that he had last year, and nobody else really stepped up. Isaiah Rodgers, huge question mark. No idea what he's going to do. So, look, give me a cornerback. Offensive line will inevitably – the only way I want offensive line is if you're saying that is my day one right guard. I do not want somebody to come in to be the replacement to Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson said he's at least going to finish out his contract, which is for 3 more years. So you're not drafting a right tackle to play 3 years from now or 4 years from now. So do not waste a first-round pick on a right tackle. Give me a right guard. Give me a cornerback. Give me an edge. Obviously, we lost Hassan there, and we have a lot of questions about Nolan Smith. And then there's a few names that Brock Bowers starts to slide. I'm trading up to 15. If for in any world
that was my
Bowers
hot take.
falls
Is
to
that
15.
how he doesn't like his draft position?
No, I mean he never does.
He's trading up. He's trading down. I hope it's up. I hope we get somebody.
Yeah,
but tune in because we are going to be doing a live draft thing.
We are.
From Billy Pizzle's Basement Saloon. You know we are.
That's news to me, apparently.
It's Thursday. You know it's Thursday.
Well, we'll discuss this.
All right.
We might be doing it somewhere else.
But
we will most likely be doing something. But no, look, Eagles exciting. Flyers should have lost. Probably going to win tonight. I think it's still 3-1. Phillies back above 500. Sixers getting healthy at just the right time. Really hoping for a deep run. Be curious to hear what you all would consider a successful postseason run, because at this point it has to be at least an Eastern Conference championship.
It has to be, yeah.
That's a minimum. They have to make it out of the second round. And while I understand to be a little bit more understanding with them collapsing in the second round with the amount of injuries they suffered this year, with how they should be the second seed. I mean, if the Joel was healthy, they are easily the second seed.
Yes.
They're only 4 games back from the second seed. Again, they're not going to get there.
No,
if he was healthy, they'd be locked in as the second seed, clinched that spot 2 weeks ago. So they have the capabilities of being a great team. And I think they match up pretty well against the Celtics, really.
No, I mean, the expectations here are high.
Yeah.
We have a healthy Embiid back with us, and we want to go deep in these playoffs.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this for 4 years now.
Yeah.
And it needs to happen, or it's time to make some very serious changes.
Yeah, no kidding.
We tried it with Harden. It didn't really work with Harden, but that can't be helped last 2 years.
No.
So it's time to make the run, Jake.
Yeah. No, it'll be an exciting time. I'm looking forward to see who they play in the first round. Probably going to be Knicks or the Cavs. Flyers are now 4-1. Where was that for the past 2 weeks? Flyers, I don't know. Bill, final thought?
Final thought. I think I'm sticking with it. Kool-Aid McKinstry, draft, Eagles.
Okay.
He's going to fall. We're going to take him.
I'm not mad. Final thought, Brandon Marsh, NL MVP.
Okay.